Hi, you guys. Welcome to Word of Hannah. Welcome back if you're returning. So, I wanted to hop on here and talk a little bit about destiny swapping, and just like targeting overall, and just sharing some things in hopes that it validates other people's experiences. My word, I'm ashy. I hope you can't see that. You can totally see it if you look at my face and look at my arms. You can totally see it. But what brings this to mind is just my own personal experiences, but also one of the things that it is that I've been reminded of. And honestly, this video, I can't remember the young lady's name, but she got to talking about it, where she's just like, witches stole your stuff, because that's what be happening. Like, destiny swapping is witchcraft. But she was like, yeah, sometimes you have a falling out with somebody, and then all of a sudden, or sometimes, somebody gets jealous. And it reminded me of something God had reminded me of a couple of weeks ago. And he was like, and I'm not saying anybody is like, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but what I am doing is laying down facts. So, and I'm not trying to act like I'm the zip-zap snap or anything like that. I have my crosses to bear. But one thing that used to surprise me, and being back in Milwaukee, being back here reminds me of this, is that I always would hear from people after I moved away and moved out of the house that we kind of grew up in, that I kind of grew up in. Every once in a while, I would get a message from my mom. Then when she sold, when she was renting out the house and my aunt was staying there, it might be my mom, my aunt. And they'd be like, yeah, such and such came by here looking for you. And it would be somebody that I dated, that, casually dated, like, nothing happened, or anything like that. But I would always have some, it wouldn't be, I don't want to make it seem like some dude, but I would always have a guy coming by the house trying to see if I was there, just popping up trying to see if I still lived there. And if I was there, just popping up out the blue type thing. In trying to understand some of the things that have been going on, and then understanding, just like sitting back and gathering information and just kind of keeping quiet and just allowing God to really minister to me. And paying attention to, okay, who's showing up? I understand who is facilitating theft and trying to facilitate attacks in my life, but let me see who's showing up. And that's something that's important to do as well. And it gets to that point, where God will bring you to that, and it'll just, you begin to pay attention. Like, I recognize that there's levels and layers to this, but I'm looking and I'm just like, okay. Noticing a pattern without accusing anybody, but noticing a pattern that in a lot of situations, not all of them, but in a lot of these situations, the people who it is who are showing up trying to take something are people who seem to be prone to jealousy. That's not always the case, because I recognize that some of this is just, a lack of understanding. There's different things, but I don't really want to speculate too much, because I don't understand and cannot relate to being someone who practices witchcraft or steals from people using witchcraft. So I can't really speak to that perspective and what influences that, because I've never done those things. Where it's like, kind of like how a lot of people have been talking about what Satan does and doesn't do, and they begin to try to like explain his nature. And I'm probably guilty of having done that at one point as well. But for me, I tend to, like, I'm starting to find it annoying because I'm like, if you've never been Satan, then how can you possibly explain his disposition and his perspective and his motives? You know what I mean? It's like, high key, I'm a guy about the only one who's going to be able to accurately say this is what he does and doesn't do in the whys. Anybody else is like getting to a point where it's just like, just shut up. Like, just stop saying why Satan does this and why Satan does that. Because all that winds up happening to me is that more often than not, that it creates a tier within the body of Christ that makes it seem like one group is being attacked because of they haven't reached some status, or they're doing something wrong, or they're not on fire enough. And it's just like, okay, like, calm down. Like, I understand that everybody needs to be on fire, but like, let's chill with the discouraging word that has, weaker Christians that are weaker in their faith and that are, just, still have 8 toes in the world, got them wanting to sit up here and set themselves on fire like Gandhi or whoever that dude was. Like, let's calm down and let's just tell them what they need to do and leave it there. Because I'm just like, before we have somebody sitting up here in a lotus position engulfed in flames because somebody keeps saying they need to be on fire for God. Like, anyway, so back to the swapping though. So it does seem to be like it's always a certain, if you think about it and you pay attention to the patterns, it seems to be people that are prone to jealousy, or it seems to be people that you kind of felt resented you at one point in time or another. That's not always the case. There's definitely plenty of people that have surprised the heck out of me where I'm like, what you doing here? Or I'm like, Yogi? Boo-boo? And it's just like, wait, why are you here? It was like, you shouldn't have, why are you here? And that's where it's just like, oh, okay, so somebody else probably did it, and now they're just like fist to the sky, angry at the world kind of thing. And it's just like, all right, well, God bless. Like, I hope you come to know the Lord, because there's totally another way, and please don't go to hell over me. Like, please don't go to hell trying to steal from me. Like, I really, like, please do not go to hell trying to steal from me, because I promise you, I'm gonna holler at you. Because I promise you, on everything I love, what I don't do in the physical realm, I absolutely will do in the realm of the spirit. Like, I'm not mean, but if you wanted to look at this thing in terms of destiny swapping and within the enemy's facilitating theft, it would be like, just constantly pushing somebody down. You know what I mean? It was like somebody just like, because somebody's trying to get up, and before they can even begin to like pick themselves up, like when somebody gets in a fight and they fall backward and then they get in that crab position where they're like on their butt, their hands and their feet, and then they're trying to like push themselves up and lift themselves back up. You're just constantly pushing them down. The moment that they begin to come off them fingertips, you just push them down again, 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 push them down again. And that's just like, that's what it is. It's like, all right, you want to go? Let's go. Like, let's dance. And so for a lot of you, the attempts to try to like siphon, drain, the smear campaigns, the word, like all of that, the monitoring, the saying things, that is to try to get you to stop fighting. It is literally spiritual bullying to try to get you to stop defending yourself and to just submit to the people who are doing the talking, so they can traipse off with what it is that they've stolen from you or that they want to steal from you without you putting up a fight. Because so long as you're showing up, so will God. And even then, God shows up anyway, because he is faithful. He is loyal. He is absolutely a rock. And I can tell you for free, as the Africans be saying, I could tell you for free that God right there is a rock. Like, let me tell you, I have never been so grateful for God, for Jesus, for the Holy Spirit, till I started experiencing this. And I was like, oh, darn. Where I was just like where I'm just like just eyes opened, where it's like, this is what's been happening on this planet since the beginning of all things. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, we need saving. Oh my gosh, oh my God. Where is your, and I know it ain't even like, I haven't even seen much. Like, I've seen things, but I haven't even seen like all there is to see. And I don't want to. Like, I want to see what God wants me to see, and that's it. But I recognize that God didn't want people to be exposed to bad and negativity. So for me, one of the biggest blessings is knowing I don't need to know everything, but knowing that, okay, when it comes to this destiny swapping and the warfare and all of that, this is not permissible by God by a long stretch. Like, and so when we get tired and when it becomes like overwhelming, you know, when they try, like, when the enemy tries like the what I want to call it Blitzkrieg. I want to say it's spelled like Blitzkrieg, but I'm not sure. It's a German word, and I learned it when I was learning about the World War II, I think it is, with the Nazis, whichever one is with the Nazis. When they were doing a thing where they were like, and I'm not even sure if that's the right word, but essentially it's a word that means like lightning, like a litany of lightning attacks. That's what the enemy be doing. And then with the bullying, that's what happens a lot of times. But Jesus has dominion over everything, and it's just a matter of using him as a resource forever, like at all times for all things. But the lightning war, the Blitzkrieg, and I've decided that even if I'm wrong, I'm sticking with that word. Is where you just bombard your enemy with attacks. It's like you just kind of like what I was describing when I said just continuously pushing the enemy down. Like, that's what it is. It's like, imagine any, movie that you watch where it's a bunch of little snots in the movie and somebody's getting bullied and the bully just keeps pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. That. But the problem with that is that it could be really overwhelming. And that's the point. You could start to become afraid. You could just feel overwhelmed. When the words are being thrown in, you could be conditioned to listen until you tell yourself and remind yourself that the Lord is your shepherd. So if anybody else is speaking, because demonic whispers, satanic whispers are real. Like, people do use satanic methods and means to speak to God's children. But that doesn't mean that we're supposed to be listening. But you can find yourself like having your prayers or your worship or your praise interrupted. So therefore your warfare is being interrupted. And now you're listening to the enemy, but God said don't do that, because the enemy, when the enemy is speaking, he's literally trying to do what God is saying that he's trying to do. In Ezekiel 13:18, I think, 18:23ish, somewhere around there, between 18 and 29, God said, you dishearten my people with your lies when I brought them no grief. Or by lying to people who listen to lies, you dishearten my people when I brought them no grief. Or something, it's something like that. I don't want to get it wrong. I'm driving. I do have my Bible right here, but I'm driving and I can't look it up right here. But essentially, it's like the enemy will try to bully you and try to interrupt you and interrupt your thoughts, interrupt your warfare, interrupt your praise, which you are designed to do. And it's one of the best way, like it is the way to remain in connection with God, by bullying you with words. And all of these things, it's like that litany of attacks, like all of those things are to get you to shrink, is to get you to be conditioned to accepting being stolen from by a kingdom that is not entitled to steal. Just because a thief feels entitled to own things that's not theirs, does not mean that they're entitled to actually own them or to be a thief, or that God even put them on this planet to be one. It's like, to some degree, you look at the situation and the destiny swapping and things like that, and you realize that likely the anyone who is stealing within the realm of the spirit is like, it's crazy. It's like it's hard to explain it, but they're stealing for somebody that robbed them. Where it's just like the person that, or Satan, robbed them did not return what he took from them. And then they decide to go and work for the person that robbed them and steal from other people and put themselves like into a position where they're like bound to their enemy. But it's just like, Satan doesn't come to steal from some. And it's not true that you can like get robbed, work for the person that robbed you, and then somehow it balances out. Like, it just becomes a matter of that person or people becoming satisfied with what they've stolen from somebody else and accepting never having what belongs to them. Because as long as they're stealing, they can't have what belongs to them, because what belongs to them is in the hands of their father. And I know that at some point in time, there's some people have said that Satan decides that he comes and tells somebody that he's their father. He can't, if he did not create that person from the very beginning, he will never be their father. That's just him pretending to be God again. He's never going to be the father of somebody who he didn't create. That's like somebody coming and being like, you've done enough chores around the house, so around my house, so I guess I'll be your mom now. And it's like, but did she carry you? Did she carry you? Did she conceive you? Did she take whatever necessary steps to conceive you? It's not your mom. I don't care. You can keep on doing them chores if you want to, but it's not going to change the fact that that is not your mama. Your mom is at the house with it, waiting for you to come home. Your father is waiting for you to come home. That is not your daddy. Guess there's like plenty people chilling in hell about to find out. And it's unfortunate. But nevertheless, so destiny swapping. So there'll be a lot of stuff like that where it's like people will have like gotten mad, like, this person always has somebody that's interested in them, and then they just go and they want to facilitate theft. You know, it's a lot of y'all who are being targeted or doxxed by people who are mad at you for stuff like that, where it's like the girl who men would go out of their way to get her attention used to pay attention to you for free, and you didn't even know who she was. Or it was just like everybody knew who she was and wanted her attention. You got her attention and you don't even know she exists. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's a lot of y'all who are being targeted by people who are like that, where they just sitting up here just salty as all get out because they never get attention from the people they want attention from. So they relish in having people go out of their way to try to hurt you because of how your success in this one little area made them feel, even though you weren't doing anything to them. Like, you weren't making them be bothered by the attention that you got. You weren't making them have like a jealous reaction to what you had going on, to being attractive to some. Like, you weren't making anyone do anything. You were just living your life. But anyway, so that was one element of it that I wanted to share, was the animosity part of it. But also, how, the words, the people popping out, with their word curses here and there, trying to say something that is going to root in the soil of your soul, trying to say something that can be implanted within your subconscious mind. Those types of things happening, like, all of that is to begin to facilitate theft. Like, it's all to begin to facilitate, using draining and trying to leak and trying to pull your wherewithal, trying to pull your confidence, your desire, your ambition, your passions, trying to pull your essence and who you are, trying to pull, like, it could even be something like somebody wants your job, so they need you to stop looking for one. You know what I mean? Where it's just like making you feel like you just want to give up. It's those kind of things. For a lot of y'all, though, a lot of you are where theft was facilitated, and you're there to get it back. Like, where maybe somebody thought that they had led you into a trap, but you're there to collect what was stolen from you back in the day. Where it's just like, nobody led you into a trap. You were told to go there to collect. Some of y'all, you had to go around the city before you even entered it. Like, you had to circle around the city 7 times and then yell so that the walls could be torn down before you entered. But somebody who sometimes those are the kind of things that are just between you and God. And you just, like, when people get to, like, thinking that they're facilitating things in your life and that you don't know anything about it, and, drawing these conclusions about, these conclusions that imply that the only possible outcome is the one that they want. You just got to leave it, and just let things unfold the way that they do. But, you do have to dance. You do have to show up. And nothing is final unless you just don't say anything. And so if you're finding that anybody that, when you pray, when you worship, when you fast, when you're just breathing, and those who have been operating in wickedness against you begin to try to make you look like you're bugging, you're not. That's just more bullying and manipulation. That's just more of, like, trying to get you to stop. It's to try to manipulate you, because what you're doing is effective. If you're worshiping God, if you're praying at all times, you're praying without ceasing, you're doing what you're supposed to do. And you know that you can't be self-conscious and worried about what other people think or what they say, because if you do, that is a snare. God said that to sit and to worry yourself about other people's opinions is a snare, because if you concern yourself with what other people have to say about you, you're now putting their opinion above God's, and then that's a violation of His law, and that puts that person into a position of importance that they're not supposed to be in. and their words become embedded within the soil of your soul. So you can't do that, because the opinions of man is quite literally a snare, and a snare is being led into a trap. That's a trap. And that is a trap to make you susceptible to manipulation in all of its form. And destiny swapping is just one aspect of that. But it will look like, somebody wanting attention that they see you getting. And so some of you might experience, certain kinds of warfare because of that. But I'll leave with this because I feel like I've said enough. It could be just, people wanting any part of you, where it's just like you look at a house and you just look at everything that makes up a house, down to the furnishings and the light fixtures and things like that. And you look at destiny swapping, and it's just the attempt to try to take everything that is of value of a house. I mean, if you wanted to kick it up to like even the wire, how at one point in time they were going into the walls and taking the copper, where it's just like anything of value left in this structure is an attempt to try to take it all, to have the host of that house, or to weaken the foundation, and to essentially try to keep the host from locking the doors and shutting the windows and keeping them that way, and trying to put the host on freeze until everything has been stripped, and then leave them with a spirit of hopelessness to try to make them feel like extreme agony and grief, so that the spirit of death and destruction can come upon them and they can just die after they've been stolen from. Like, that's what a lot of it is like an attempt to try to like steal somebody's entire existence and then just die. Or go crazy, or both. But you're not supposed to know any of that. But anybody who has, a lot of you aren't bullies, but a lot of you aren't the running type. Like, it's a lot of people who, have targeted you all and doxed you and done all these things, and they know you from when you were a kid, and they know you didn't run then, so why would you run now? It was like they were around when people ganged up on you. People were always ganging up on you. Somebody always had a problem, so-called had a problem with you, and it was always over some animosity. You always had people ganging up on you. Like, if one person had a problem with you, they didn't show up until they had 5 people with them at least. Like, if it needed to be more people than you can count with a glance. That, like, they did not show up to come holler at you until you were significantly outnumbered. But you didn't run then. So it's important not to run now. It's also important not to get mad and get to crying and yelling and screaming or thinking suspiciously of everybody. Because I promise you, with God on your side, it really don't even matter who is up to what. It doesn't matter if everybody around you is in it. It doesn't matter if people be following you around and doing all these crazy things. Let them. Like, you got to zoom out of this thing, because if anybody's doing a bunch of crazy stuff trying to get you to go crazy, they doing crazy stuff to try to get you to go where they already are or something like that. Like, I mean, I hope not, but I'm just like, the act of doing all these crazy things, it's like, it's a lot. We're just like, that's a lot of effort. That's a lot to put in. But where it's just like, you just gotta leave it. Like, let people do whatever they gonna do and focus on God. Because if you don't focus on God, like, if you focus on what everybody else is doing, you're gonna be miserable and you're gonna lose. But when you focus on God, you cannot lose. But I promise you, you focus on anything that has to do with the devil, you can forget it. Like, you can hang it up, like, because he does not win. He, like, victory in any capacity is nowhere to be found anywhere that he is. Like, that is his, that's his lot in life. That's why anything of value has to be taken from somebody else. It has to be taken from those who belong to God. And then once people who belong to God get taken from it, then they go to him and then they start trying to take. But that's where I was saying, like, they're taking from the same being that, they're working with, who took from them. And instead of just going to collect what belonged to them, they're, it's just a weird cycle. But I know that a lot of the attacks comes in because once you're back with God, he's going to lead you towards recovery because he is the God of restoration. And so like some of the attacks is to try to keep you from restoring what was stolen from you, to keep you from living the life that you were assigned to live. And to basically is to try to, like, bully you into being who the devil wants you to be, and to separate you from God, because in God you'll become who it is that he called you to be from the beginning. But I would say I'll leave with this, that when God urges you to pray for people, even people that facilitate attacks and, do whatever towards you, you do have to pray for them. I prayed for my enemies yesterday, and I literally felt something break off of me. Like I felt something lift off of me and leave. But I know of one person in particular who has participated in trying to steal from me spiritually. I don't really know why, because I've never said anything about her. I do know that there was a point where I was praying, and someone who was reaching might have thought that I was talking about her, but I wasn't. But I noticed that she showed up and began like this, whatever it is. I don't know what to call what it is that I've been experiencing, but she showed up on the monitoring screen, I guess. And I'm just like, why is she here? Oh, I'm just like, oh, okay. So somebody must have thought I was talking about her, but I wasn't. But I had to cover her with prayer because I know of something that she did that went wrong, where she was operating in spiritual wickedness. And once I had knowledge, I was like, oh, that she did a spell and it backfired. And so I'm just like, oh, okay, so she's not supposed to be doing this. And so it's just like, I mean, nobody is, mind you. But I was just like, knowing that I had to pray for somebody who was trying to hurt me or trying to steal from me. And I'm just like, she's not learning a lesson. And I don't want anything to happen to her, where it's just like, even though she's wrong as the day is long, I don't want anything to happen to her. And I'm just like, she need to stop doing this. Like, it's time for her to pick a different avenue, because I was in her life when the stuff backfired, and it was crazy. And it had to have been witchcraft, because now it's just like that whole, I'm just like, that was crazy. So it had to be that stuff backfiring. And so I'm just looking like, okay, well, I don't want bad for her. Where it's just like, I don't want bad for anybody. Like, there's other ways to get it. And anything that we think that we want, if we're not supposed to have a desire for it, God will take the desire away, but the want is to suffer. You know what I mean? So, like, wanting and wanting and wanting, like, it's a recipe for a miserable life, because that doesn't have a cap. Like, it's the reason why these big organizations that we sometimes try to rage against the machine on, one of the reasons they have, like, the things that they do, like, one of the reasons they have the revenue they do is because we're always in want. And so because we're always in want, we're always feeding that bear instead of feeding ourselves. And because it's not a want that satisfies it, we wind up back in their stores. We wind up back, they're able to come out with the latest and this and this and that and I have a quota of ants that I have to hit by the end of the day. But it'll be a situation where it's just like, there'll be changes and developments that are not even necessary, but because they made a new one. And, it's one of those things where it's like, you slowly begin to find that between your job and, the things that it is that you spend the money that you earn from that job on, you find that you are giving most of yourself away. And it just becomes this miserable cycle that leads people to a point where they feel like so low that they feel like they need to steal from other people. And then it just makes things worse. And it never has a positive outcome, because it's all unnatural. It's all breaking God's law. And it's breaking the law in a realm that you can't see. And that's dangerous, because without intel and protection, who is going to tell a thief that the person that they robbed is bending the block on them? Like, and in this instance, it's God's law, which cannot be broken, versus other people's selfish desires. It's just dangerous. But anyway, I do hope that this is helping, that this has been validating.